We are so fucking back.
Bitch!
Welcome to the 2024 fantasy football season. Thank you all for drafting. That was wonderful. Some people were there, some people weren't there. Not really sure what was going on with that. Someone's on a boat. Maybe it was Signy. Who the fuck knows? Your fearless leader is here, bringing you all things fantasy football yet again. We are entering the 2024 fantasy football season with exceptional expectations. Tim Downs is going for a defense of his title. Can he do it? TJ Tatro, really coming in hot with the first pick. Is this his year? Does owning a child give you an advantage? All questions that we will have answers to very soon. For now, every team is tied for first place. Every team is the best team immediately after you draft them. But very soon, we will be inundated with Hansen, Schefter, ad drops, someone having 6 defenses. This is all stuff that is going to come in due time. But right now, we just sit here with every single individual possibility on the table. But before we get to real results, I have some fake ones that I'm going to share with you to tell you if you suck or if you're good. Here are the post-draft power rankings. Up on the screen now, you can see the post-draft power rankings. ESPN gives us a post-draft ranking. You may have seen it inside the homepage of our league, and it will give you a ranking for like where you were on draft day, and then it decides to adjust here, there, and everywhere depending on if you win, if you add drop players, how your team is doing, injuries, so on and so forth. Those are bullshit. No idea what their algorithm is, but it's nonsense. So, what I did, I took everybody's roster and took the individual player and positional rankings from Fantasy Pros, all of the professionals, expert consensus rankings, yada, 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 and assigned every player on your roster a player value. Summed all the player values, put them in order. This is the rankings that it gives us. Quite a bit different in a few cases from ESPN, as you can see from our fun, nifty graphics. I believe this is a much more objective measure of the strength of your individual roster. And these are the best comments that were ever commented in the history of comments. So, up first, myself. No first round pick, no fucking problems. I love my team. The experts love my team. You're probably going to hate my team. No problems. We got Pete. Pete came up last season. Uh, 12 win regular season. Unbelievable. This season, 2 tight ends. One in the flex, which is an absolute flex. I like the running backs. I like the receivers. It's a strong core. And the bench homer picks of a Patriots and a Broncos wide receiver, solid. Nice to see it, Pete. Meg, you got to change your fucking team name. Garrett had a great draft again. I like a lot of these players. Feels very fragile, though. This really feels like a team with, what do we have, 10 starters? Feels like there's probably only 15 hamstrings to go around for those 10 guys. That means some guys are going to have one hamstring. Some guys might have no hamstrings. Fragile team. Al, George Pickens is bae. But Arthur Smith now works for the Steelers. And as we know, Arthur Smith hates planes and passing. And Russell Wilson and Justin Fields like to run around. So as much as we love George Pickens, he might get fucked by Arthur Smith. I'm going to be cautious because I really want to go into a full manifesto of Arthur Smith, maybe in a future episode. Trevor, you have no running back depth. That's this is a recipe for absolute disaster. Uh, and then looking at your bench, those might as well have been ChatGPT generated names if you just type in what's the name of a football player and can I have 12 names of football players, and it just spits out random generated names like Madden or like Backyard Football just makes up names. I'm not convinced any of those are real players. Sean got AJ Brown this year, apparently only because I said something in the chat about hopefully he falls to me. Fine. AJ Brown's my BFF. I hope you treat him really well. I do want him back, and I hope you're going to make that happen for me at some point this season. TJ Belanger, he really goes out and gets his guys. My kind of drafter. He knows the players he likes. He goes and gets the players he likes. Every year he's going to have the same few guys. Cool. Love the strategy. It's a lot of big names on this team that are expected to have big seasons, but there's not a lot of guarantees. On his bench, also in classic TJ Belanger fashion, he builds out like a full roster. So there's a backup tight end, there's a backup quarterback. Means there's not a lot of depth. You do you, Bula. TJ Tatro. I don't know what ESPN sees here. I don't get it. Christian McCaffrey is your first overall pick. You got to do it. Your team, if you get him first, like your team goes as far as he does. So high risk, high reward. The rest of your team looks okay, okay-ish. A rookie quarterback, and in fact, a rookie quarterback who is a silly goose. Look up this guy. He's a bit of a silly goose. That man is also that's extremely high risk, especially with how quarterbacks in our league perform these days. I think TJ, you're here to play for a championship, but I don't see it. Neither do the experts. Might be a long season, buddy. Signy, this is where things get weird because I don't hate this team in a 14 team league. But there's 12 teams in our league, so I'm really getting. I only did the first 6 rounds. I mailed it in last quarter of senior year vibes. That's what this team has really given me. I couldn't be bothered to even be here. If you drafted from a boat, it fucking shows. Brennan, uh, best team photo in the league. Love it. The lighting, perfect. I like this team as well. This is really strange. I like some of these teams constructed more towards the bottom for some reason. Whatever the rankings of ESPN and these pros are, like I don't know. I like them. And Brennan is no exception. I'm picking this as like a sleeper playoff team here. I don't understand what the pros or ESPN think. There's a lot of solid players on this team and a few guys who could pop off. If a couple of those guys pop off with a solid core, I'm saying it. It's a playoff team. Tim, buddy, what is this? I put you at, or the I and the experts put you at last. ESPN had you at 11th, so I I'm confused. On the surface, again, I don't hate this team. It's got some guys who can ball. Uh, Tim, similar to the way I draft, similar to the way the Bula drafts, Tim got his guys, man. He took Mark Ingram for every year for as long as we can remember. You know, and I think it's becoming DeAndre Swift. Uh, the Chronicles of Swift. Is that what we will now be introducing? after the ballad, there's a chance. I really respect these moves of these are my guys. Uh, there's a lot of risk in this year's version of Tim's team, and it's feeling like we're back. We could be back to boomer bust Timmy D. After last season, um, big championship, big money, goes home with a trophy. Only time will tell if that was an anomaly. As we get ready between the draft and week one, let's prep ourselves a little bit here, right? What should we be expecting? Last season, 7 wins made the playoffs. That was 7 wins with all kinds of tiebreakers and nonsense uh, that we couldn't really figure out what was going on, what, where, and why. Get 8 wins, get a playoff spot. 9 wins, you're locking it up. Last season, we also had a lot of parity, except for the top. Pete had all the wins. It was Pete and the Proletariat for a long time there, the 1%. But I think there's going to be some larger disparities this year. Just a hunch. We'll see what happens. They do say you can't win your league in the draft, but you can lose it. Last year, Tim proved that wrong. Uh, this year, that may be proven right. A couple of you guys might have just lost the league in the draft. We do have a few early contenders for the crappiest team out there, and with shallow benches, a couple people having running backs, uh, injuries are going to make or break a few teams here. So, with that said, let's get this season going. We're playing for big money. Thank you for coming, and I will see you next week.